Morning, we're continuing with the Mamer started yesterday. Mamer Parshas Chukas. Zois Chukas Atero, it's the name of the Mamer. And we are holding on page based on the bottom. Vav is Nekudas Abil. Nekudas Abil was there. Mamer, the Tfilas Oshir, lo b'shvil atzmei, lo b'shvil Knesset Yisrael. We just said before, the Menashe Amitay, it's connected with chapter 9 in Tehillim. It's Tfilah le'osher. Tfilas osher. Sometimes there's Tfilah of Ani, of a poor man, and there's Tfilah of a rich man. What is the Tfilah of a rich man? It is what it sounds like. Someone doesn't lack anything.
Right.
But not like we think today. Rich is maybe has... he has abundance on one area of life and maybe deficient on another. Maybe shlom bayis, maybe God forbid his health. Spiritually, over here we're dealing with someone that is wealthy in both ways. Who is it? Who is wealthy physically and spiritually? Moshe Rabbeinu. It says about Moshe Rabbeinu that it's Tfilah Oshir, that he davens Hashem like a rich man. So we ask, what is the purpose of davening if you have everything? If you accomplish perfection spiritually, and it's not that you just have what you need, you have everything over than what you want. Whatever your expectations are, imagine 10 times more. So what are you davening for? So Tfilas Oshir really is davening for other people. He's not davening for himself. It says, Knesset Yisrael. He's davening for Am Yisrael. Ke'isa midashar posuk Tfilah Moshe. Moshe ma'adavodime. What is it? Analog to? What is it? What is that similar to? Three people coming to Itzar Moshe and Yaakov Shimoni. They came to pick up something from the king. The first one came and he said to the king said to him, what do you want? So the king said, the guy said, because I rebelled against you, I'm asking that you give me something. The king gave it to him. The item that they asked was called duya. Still not sure what exactly was the item, the object that they wanted, but it was called duya. Anyhow, comes the second guy, and he gave it to him. So the first guy, he came and he honored the king. But then when he asked him, what are you asking? He says, I'm asking you this duya thing because I rebelled against you. And the king gave it to him. The second guy comes and he gives it to him. Comes the third, said, what do you want? He says, I'm not asking for myself anything. I'm asking for this country, for country so-and-so, that was destroyed. I'm asking that you would decree, if you can decree, that it should be built. So comes the king and says to him, this is a great crown to you. And David HaMelech did the same thing. What did he do? Hashem said to him, what are you asking? So he said, Shema Tfilos, Shema Hashem Tzedek. So I'm not asking for myself. Similarly, Moshe Rabbeinu did not ask for himself, rather for Am Yisrael. Moshe davened even though he was wealthy, and he didn't lack anything physically or spiritually, materially or spiritually. צריך להביא נסו, לפי הנ"ל, תפילה שאושר מספר, אינו שייך לעשיר שלי. So it comes the davening that the wealthy man davens, it's not connected with his wealth, with his ashirus. Why he davens for others? Because he wants their good. He wants good. That they should be okay. What is tfilas oshir? Pashtus, that his davening is because that he's wealthy. Maybe he wants to fortify his wealth, that his wealth will be protected. So the question remains, well, now this challenge, what is the davening of the wealthy man? Is it for himself or for others? It says that the assembly of the Jewish people is connected with Malchus. And Moshe Rabbeinu asked for Am Yisrael, he asked for Am Yisrael, simply. And also for the attribute of Malchus. So it says in the Midrash that the request of Moshe for Knesset Yisrael, Al derech habakosha midin place. Midrash says that Moshe Rabbeinu asked is similar to those three guys that are coming to the king. Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who says, I'm asking for this country that should be built. And Medina Malchus. Medina is connected to Malchus. Malchus. What does mean Chareva? What was destroyed within Malchus? The deficiency in Miutayreach. It says in Kabbalah and Chassidus that the attribute of Malchus doesn't have any substance of its own. It receives the light and flow from the attributes above it. So it's always in a state of Makabel, of a taker, recipient. Yereach, the moon is similar. It doesn't have anything of its own. It receives its light from the giver, the moon, and the diminishment of the moon that took place in the beginning of creation, meaning in the beginning of creation the moon was just as big as the sun, and afterwards it was diminished. Yeah. So what is the request from the king? He decreed that it should be built, and Malchus should not be deficient. That the infinite light will be drawn into Malchus, the essence of Hashem will be drawn into Malchus. Therefore, to fill the deficiency. How do you fill the deficiency? By drawing down revelation that is associated with Malchus. Then Malchus will be elevated to the level that it was before the light was concealed. It's possible that the light, okay, you're filling it in, but maybe it will be deficient afterwards. In order for the binyan to be an everlasting one, binyan nitzchi, eternal building, it's not possible that it will be destroyed. Through the revelation of a drawdown of Ein Sof, Atzmus Ein Sof, that is above the world, if you can tap into this light, the infinite light of Hashem, and draw it down directly into Malchus, no deficiency will happen. Why? Because this light is above the world. And that's why the davening of Moshe is called the davening of a wealthy man. So why is it called Tfilas Osher? The tefillah of a wealthy man? Because he is a wealthy man. The fact that Moshe Rabbeinu davened that the essence of Ein Sof will be drawn into Malchus. And by doing so, it will be an everlasting edifice. It says because he was a wealthy man. He was on a very lofty spiritual level. Supernal knowledge and Kabbalistic that receives from Atik Yemin, from the innermost of Kesser. The essence of Ein Sof that is above the world. Since he himself received from this level, and that was his Moshe Rabbeinu level, he has the power to bring about the same revelation to other sources, to other places. Tzorich Lovin Zayin. לפי הנעל של תפילות של מישהו שהוא שח עצמוס אינסוף במלכוס ומשהו דאס עליין. Moshe's Das Elyon, supernal knowledge, and that's why he wanted the essence of Ein Sof to come down to Malchus. Velochem beichot olam shichus Malchus. Shochas hagilu Malchus. To draw down a revelation into Malchus, al yedei Moshe lichiro b'derech melamaylo lemata. This is seemingly being done melamaylo lemata, from above down. The supernal light comes down from its source, from its lofty abode, to the attribute of Malchus, which is the lowest attribute. Since we are dealing with Gilul Lekus, with godly revelation, to draw down from above down, why is it called Tefillah? Tefillah is usually the opposite. Tefillah is going heavenward, milamato lemalo, from below going higher, opposite direction. When Moshe Rabbeinu is trying to do the opposite, trying to tap into Atzmus Ein Sof and bring it down, Tefillah is elevating.
So, like when you daven for refuah, like we daven every day for refuah,
the Tefillah goes up, and ultimately we respond. Over here it says Moshe Rabbeinu's whole davening was to bring something down.
That's what we wanted to bring it down, right? Bring down a refuah. Or all the things in the Shemona Esrei.
Correct. Shlomo Abihu said, "Kshamshoch b'malchus b'derech b'mayla lamato." So really, the question is, why is it not sufficient to draw down the essence of Ein Sof, which is the objective of Moshe Rabbeinu, tap into the essence of Ein Sof, and connect it with Malchus, draw it down to Malchus, from above down. Why does it require davening? Davening's main theme is milamata l'mala, going from below, going heavenward. The Shemshoch Malchus b'derech b'mayla lamato is gam k'shagilui wa'atzmus Ein Sof shel mal min hatzimtzum. וכלולוס הוא בכינס עצם העיר שלו נוגע בצמצום. כל מוקם כיוון דזה שאין שייך שיסתלק העיר מהמלכוס מפני שהעיר הוא למעלה מן הצמצום. ולגל מלכוס אין זה אמיתי סעין לבניין הדיעד. מלכוס איפה שיסתלק מן העיר. Oh, so it says like this. What is Moshe's davening? Essence of Ein Sof will come to Malchus. Why? Because Malchus is deficient. He doesn't want Malchus to be deficient. So he introduces to Malchus such type of energy, such type of flow that is above the world that can never be deficient, can never be diminished, can never be deficient. Okay? So it's like he's forcing on Malchus something that it doesn't have, but something that from his perspective, from Malchus' perspective, you can have another diminishment. you can create the same way that the first one was created. Hashem created it full and then it was diminished, like we said about the moon. It's created just like the sun and was diminished. So from the moon perspective or Malchus perspective, they can be diminished even more. They can be diminished once again. But what is Moshe Rabbeinu doing? You're putting this type of energy, Atzmus, Ein Sof, they can never be diminished. But that doesn't change that from the perspective of Malchus, you can have diminishment once again. Deficiency can happen again. It's just that the light itself, the energy that comes down, it's so intense that Malchus cannot handle it, cannot create deficient in it. It's like you say, I'm going to give $1 million to a 16-year-old or 18-year-old. Give him 8 months, a year, he's going to waste it, right?
Yeah.
Give him $100 million, take him 10 years to waste it, right? Give him $1 billion or $10 billion. He's going to live his whole life as a wealthy man, right?
Yeah.
Even if he's going to buy himself a plane, he's going to buy himself a yacht, he's going to buy himself it's too much, right? So you're saying you didn't really change the child. The child itself is going to waste it. It's just too much for him, so he can't waste it. So Malchus itself is going to be deficient again. You didn't change Malchus, Moshe Rabbeinu. You brought into Malchus something that cannot really create deficient in it. It's Atzmus, Ein Sof. So when it comes to the essence of Ein Sof, is above the world. It's not limited to the limitations of the world. So therefore, it cannot be diminished.
So this didn't happen.
So really, you says, we're saying to Moshe, you didn't change Malchus. You didn't create a change in Malchus. You just injected in Malchus something you cannot mess around with.
Did this really happen? That we got that the Ein Sof into the Malchus?
Moshe Rabbeinu davens, it's not going to happen.
He davened to get an Eretz Israel. It didn't happen. I mean,
It was a personal prayer. That's why the Yalkut Shimoni brought the Moshe. You come to the king and say, I want you to give me so and so because I whatever. But over here, it says, I'm not asking for myself, I'm asking for the country. There's a country that was destroyed, some place was diminished. I want you to fill the deficiency. The king likes to hear it. You're not asking for yourself, you're asking for the cloud. So over here,
some people can say when he asked to go into Eretz Israel, it wasn't for just him, it was for Am Israel, so we could have, we wouldn't have to have any more golas.
Correct. Yeah. But it wasn't, the time was not right.
Obviously. Today's parsha, where we got punished.
Malchus perspective, it's possible the light will be diminished. What is the true aspect of everlasting edifice? When we say binyan adayad, it's a famous bracha that we say to a groom and a bride, right? Groom and a bride. We tell the groom and the bride, you should have everlasting edifice. Binyan adayad, the Rebbe's bracha.
Right.
Why? It says, "V'amit is ein v'nadal sham shochas gilu izeb malchus lo yirak mitzad lemaylo ela gam mitzad malchus." That the change happens also in malchus. It's not only lemaylo. Okay, you're injecting something that malchus is higher than malchus. You're putting it in, and that's it. Malchus can't mess with it. It says that the true binyan adiyad is the malchus itself is changing. In line 1, it says, Ela gam mitzad malchus. So therefore, you need milamay lamato and you need milamato lamato. You need both ways, and that's why it's called tefillah l'Moshe. V'zeh tefillah l'Moshe, tefillah yavei das hanivroim. Remember, we said it's in Perek, in Kapitel Tzadik, in 90. V'zeh tefillah l'Moshe, tefillah yavei das hanivroim. The labor of created being that are drawing down and revealing godliness through their Aveda, through their labor. The drawdown that takes place through davening is a drawdown that is connected with the mata, connected with down here. La'amat atzmi la'nivoim v'chein l'sfiras ha'malchus, and similarly to the attribute of malchus, shirish anivoim, which is the root, which is the source and the root of the created beings. Elosham shoch shadid filo bichlal, the drawdown that takes place through davening. Kevan shetfila avodas hanivoim, since prayer is avodas hanivoim, the created beings. Lo chanam shoch shadid zeh am shoch sheches lo'ilamis. Therefore, the amshacha, the drawdown that happens is amshacha that connected with the world. Why? Because tefillah is avodas hanivoim. Davening is our avodah. It was given to us. Okay, created beings can daven. And therefore, the amshachas that we affect through our davening is also amshacha that has to suit us, created beings. Connects with the world. Amshacha that fits the world. Usually, davening does not have the power, usually, to tap into a light that is above the world. You're tapping into something that the world can handle. The davening of Moshe has two unique qualities. Amshochas atzmus osef shel mam shachus lelomis, v'af pichen amshocha in shachus malchus be'even shishachus malchus atzmus. It's almost like an oxymoron, or like a paradoxy that happens to the prayer of Moshe, but to the good side, in a positive way. On one hand, the davening of Moshe taps into something that is above the world, Atzmus Ein Sof. On the other hand, it's infused in Malchus in such a way that it fits Malchus like a glove. And therefore, from Malchus itself, it's not, even from the perspective of Malchus, cannot create any more deficiency, not because the light is above the world, because the davening of Moshe Rabbeinu, they brought that such great light will be infused in Malchus, and they'll still fit Malchus. Meaning, in his language, he says, in such a way that it's not like a foreign entity that went into Malchus. It fits Malchus. Why am I saying it's almost a paradox? Because Malchus is limitation. Malchus takes light after everything is contracted. It's being diminished, and that's how Malchus receives. Chochmah is being diminished because it's contracting itself to Bina. Bina is contracting itself to Tiferet, to Das, and Das to Chesed, Tiferet. As it goes down the chain, ultimately gets to Malchus, right?
Yeah.
But Rabbi Menashe Amitay is bypassing the whole thing. He's taking from the essence of Ein Sof straight into Malchus, the highest level going to the lowest level, but making it in such a way that Malchus itself is comfortable with it.
So you're not overloading the circuit.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But on the other hand, you did not diminish Atzmus Ein Sof, and you did not overload the circuit by Malchus. How do you do that? Imagine I tell you, tap into to your phone, to charge your phone straight to the power plant, and your phone is comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Well,
it would be a different kind of phone.
The reaction should be that it should explode right away, right? It cannot handle such. No. Okay, we'll stop here.
Okay.
Continue tomorrow. Ches, that's what we're up to.
Right.